Have you ever watched a scene so perfectly orchestrated that you find yourself simultaneously horrified and wildly impressed? That is exactly what we just witnessed in the sleek, high-stakes environment of Bill Hamilton's law office. We all knew that Haley Hamilton was playing a highly dangerous game of cat and mouse with her husband's life, slowly slipping him toxins for that massive life insurance payout. But the sudden, violent escalation we just saw? Absolutely breathtaking. The slow burn poison storyline just got injected with a massive dose of adrenaline, and the catastrophic results are going to change the landscape of Beyond the Gates forever. Let us set the stage for this spectacular downfall. For weeks, we have watched Bill Hamilton strut around town, completely oblivious to the fact that his own wife is actively orchestrating his demise. He has been dealing with the chaotic aftermath of the tornado, his secret and incredibly messy elevator hookup with Danny Dupree, and the mounting, suffocating pressure of his legal battles. But nothing in the world could have prepared him for the absolute hurricane that is Mike Davis. When Mike storms into that office, he does not just bring a bad attitude. He brings devastating, irrefutable legal evidence that threatens to obliterate Bill's entire career and reputation in one fell swoop. The sheer arrogance radiating from Mike Davis in this confrontation is palpable. This is a man who has been waiting in the shadows for the absolute perfect moment to strike, and he finally has the ultimate weapon in his hands. Mike lays out the damning evidence on the desk, and you can literally see the color drain from Bill's face before it is rapidly replaced by a furious, uncontrollable, burning red. Mike is not just trying to win a simple lawsuit here. He is trying to publicly humiliate his former boss. He wants to tear down the mighty Hamilton legacy brick by brick, and he is thoroughly enjoying every single second of it. And let us not forget the devastating collateral damage involved in this legal war, Doctor. Madison Montgomery. Mike makes it abundantly clear during this heated exchange that his impending victory will mean absolute ruin for Madison. She is deeply tangled in this legal mess, and Mike is using her potential destruction as a twisted trophy to taunt Bill. The psychological warfare Mike is employing is brilliant, but it is also the exact trigger that pushes Bill over the edge. Bill is a man who prides himself on absolute control. He manipulates the law, he manipulates his junior partners, and he certainly manipulates the women in his life. But faced with Mike's undeniable proof and the threat to Madison, Bill completely loses his temper. We are talking about a visceral, unhinged, terrifying rage. Bill is screaming, his veins are popping, and the sheer stress is pushing his already compromised body to the absolute brink. He is entirely consumed by his fury, completely blind to his immediate surroundings. And this is exactly where the brilliance of the writing truly shines, because Bill's explosive anger creates the absolute perfect smokescreen for what happens next. Enter Haley Hamilton, playing the role of the century. As Bill is losing his mind and screaming at Mike, Haley glides into the room like the ultimate supportive, doting wife. She sees her husband spiraling out of control and smoothly offers to make him a strong drink to calm his nerves. Let's be real for a second. It is so deeply cynical and sinister that you cannot help but applaud. The sheer audacity of it. She is standing right there, looking directly at the man she is actively murdering and offering him a cocktail of death with a warm, sympathetic smile. But this is not the usual slow drip serum we have seen her use over the past few weeks. Oh no, we need to talk about Randy Parker's crucial involvement in this lethal upgrade. Randy, Haley's cousin and dedicated co-conspirator, recognized that their original plan was moving far too slowly. Bill was only experiencing severe hand tremors, a symptom that had already been noticed by the highly observant Joey Armstrong. That was incredibly risky. If Joey figured it out, their entire plot would be ruined. So Randy provided Haley with a brand new, highly concentrated neurotoxin. The goal was no longer to make Bill look like he was slowly succumbing to a natural illness over a long period of time. The goal was immediate, catastrophic, total nervous system paralysis. They needed Bill out of the way now. Imagine the suffocating tension in that room as Haley pours that drink. Every clink of the ice cubes feels like a ticking countdown timer to Bill's ultimate demise. She seamlessly and expertly slips Randy's concentrated poison into the liquor, her hands completely steady. She hands the glass to Bill, who is so utterly blinded by his rage toward Mike Davis that he does not even hesitate for a fraction of a second. He downs the liquid courage in one gulp, completely unaware that he has just swallowed a one-way ticket to a comatose state. The logic behind Hayley's move here is terrifyingly sound. Hayley knew that Bill's extreme anger and spiked adrenaline would perfectly mask any immediate physical discomfort from the poison. When he finally collapsed, it would just look like a stress-induced medical emergency caused by Mike's relentless yelling. It is the perfect crime hidden in plain sight. The argument between the two men resumes, reaching an absolute fever pitch. Bill is pointing fingers, yelling threats, desperately trying to reclaim his dominance over the smug Mike Davis. And then the concentrated poison hits his bloodstream. It is not a slow, gentle fade. It is a violent, terrifying, total shutdown of the human body. Bill tries to form a threatening sentence, but the words suddenly slur into a heavy, incomprehensible mumble. You can see the exact moment the neurotoxin attacks his vocal cords, stripping him of his greatest weapon, his voice. The paralysis spreads through his nervous system with terrifying, unstoppable speed. You can see the sheer, unadulterated panic in Bill's eyes as his brilliant brain realizes that his body is no longer responding to its commands. His legs completely give out beneath him. He crashes forward, slamming violently onto his massive mahogany desk before tumbling to the floor in a heap. The visual impact of the mighty, arrogant Bill Hamilton being reduced to a paralyzed, silent, helpless figure in the middle of his own prestigious office is easily one of the most shocking and unforgettable moments in the history of Beyond the Gates. The room falls into a stunned, deafening silence. But how does Mike Davis react to witnessing a man essentially drop dead in front of him? With absolute, unadulterated, sickening triumph. There is no horror in Mike's eyes, no frantic rush to perform CPR, no screaming for an ambulance. He looks down at Bill's paralyzed body with a profound sense of victory. In Mike's twisted mind, his legal rival has just crumbled under the sheer pressure of his brilliant legal strategy. Mike genuinely believes that he has won the lawsuit by default. He is already mentally popping champagne, utterly convinced that Bill's physical downfall guarantees his ultimate success and the complete irreversible ruin of Madison Montgomery. He does not even suspect foul play. His ego convinces him that he caused this collapse. But let us zoom out and look at the bigger picture here. Bill is immediately rushed to Garland Memorial Hospital, where he falls into a deep, unexplained coma. The medical staff is completely baffled. There are no signs of a stroke, no heart attack, no obvious brain aneurysm. It is a total medical mystery. The public, the media, and the hospital doctors all assume that the immense crushing stress of the Mike Davis lawsuit, combined with the recent trauma of the Fairmont Crest tornado, simply caused Bill's body to shut down. Hayley's sinister plan worked perfectly. She now gets to play the grieving, terrified wife sitting vigil by her comatose husband's bedside, patiently waiting to collect her millions. However, is it really the perfect crime? Let us point out a massive contradiction and a glaring loose end that Hayley and Randy might have completely overlooked in their rush to paralyze Bill. Joey Armstrong? Joey recently met with Bill and specifically noticed those severe hand tremors. Joey's a man who understands the dark criminal underworld better than anyone else in town. When Joey hears that Bill suddenly collapsed from an unknown nervous system failure, he is not going to buy the stress narrative for a single second. Joey knows a targeted hit when he sees one. Hayley might have outsmarted her brilliant lawyer husband, but she has inadvertently put herself squarely on the radar of the most dangerous casino boss in the city. And here's the ultimate twist, the brilliant insight that could turn this entire storyline on its head and leave us all reeling. Think about the optics of the crime scene. Who was in the room aggressively screaming at Bill right before he collapsed? Mike Davis. Who brought the devastating evidence that supposedly triggered the medical event? Mike Davis. Who stands to benefit the most, professionally and financially, from Bill being permanently incapacitated? Mike Davis. Hayley might have administered the poison, but she has perfectly, perhaps unintentionally, positioned Mike to take the absolute fall for this crime. If the police, perhaps a highly motivated, traumatized Jacob Hawthorne, start investigating this mysterious coma as an attempted murder, Mike Davis is going to look like the prime, undeniable suspect. It is a masterstroke of soap opera villainy. Hayley has successfully neutralized her husband, secured her financial future, and potentially framed her husband's biggest rival, all in one single pour of a glass. But this house of cards is incredibly fragile. Randy is a sleazy, loose cannon. Joey is highly suspicious, and Bill is still technically alive in that hospital bed. What happens if the neurotoxin slowly wears off? What happens if Bill Hamilton wakes up and remembers exactly who handed him that drink? The writers have given us a storyline that is not just emotionally thrilling, but deeply intellectually stimulating. We are watching a high-stakes chess match where the queen has just sacrificed the king to win the board. But in Fairmont Crest, the dead and the comatose rarely stay silent forever. So I have to ask you, when the toxicology reports finally come back, who is going to be wearing the handcuffs? Will Hayley get away with the perfect crime? Or is Mike Davis about to pay the ultimate price for an attempted murder he didn't even commit? The game is far from over, and I cannot wait to see how this explodes. Let me know your theories, and keep watching the gates.